And the whole idea was to get two sectarian groups of Iraqis fighting each other. It's quite something, isn't it? And it's even more amazing how just print it in the paper to give the official versions generally and leave it at that. It says here, have you been convinced into giving unaccountable covert branches of government more power by the independent Rosalind Hutt Press Association, 25th of the 2nd, 2009, anti-terror fight will need privacy sacrifice. Citizens will have to sacrifice their right to privacy in the fight against terrorism, a former senior security official warned today. Sir David Omand, I've spoken about him before, this cabinet officer, former security intelligence coordinator. In a research paper on the national security strategy, Sir David wrote, finding out other people's secrets is going to involve breaking everyday moral rules. And I read that whole report last week, I believe it was. So they cause the problem and say, look, there's chaos out there, we're going to take all your rights away and monitor you all. We're going to break every moral rule. That's what he said, everyday moral rules. Finding out other people's secrets is going to involve breaking everyday moral rules. Being able to demonstrate proper legal authorization and appropriate oversight of the use of such intrusive intelligence activity may become a major future issue for the intelligence community if the public at large is to be convinced of the desirability of such intelligence capability. So we have to be convinced it's for our own good, you see, having no privacy whatsoever. Sir David said that such information may be held in national records covered by data protection legislation, but it might also be held offshore by other nations or by global companies. There's your private-public deal going on there, because they're privatizing everything. See, the private sector, when they privatize an army or even the intelligence service, it's no longer responsible to parliaments or Congress. You see how it works? There's no Geneva Convention for them when it comes to torture, etc. Remember that because it's coming down soon to a place near you. Now, I'll go to the phones, and there's John from Winnipeg there. Are you there, John? Hello, John?
Hello, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes, go ahead.
How are you doing?
Not so bad.
I'm so sorry to bother. There's somebody knocking at my door, but it's not going to matter here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make clear that How you doing, Uncle Tom? I just wanted to make clear that find out that I've been a supporter of yours for a very long time and been telling people that you are a vestige of something that is not seen today. And I'm not kissing your ass, sir. The bottom line is that people need to hear you, and I'm doing all I can. I'm a very poor man. I'm Will from Philadelphia.
Yes.
Your station owner has banned me. I've been banned from talk radio for talking about the real solution to Codex Alimentarius, and I'm crying inside.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to talk about Codex Alimentarius because what you talk about is so important that people need to hear it. And I'll tell you what, I spent in the aggregate $1,000 promoting you.
Yeah.
You need to be heard. As far as I'm concerned, you stand alone. And it's enough kissing your butt. What I want to talk about is I just want to put out an all-points bulletin on the fact that Codex Alimentarius is coming, and it already hit Canada hardcore. No, sir?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Canada, I just did some research, and Canada, Dr. Ewan Cameron and stuff with Canada has been hit hard with experiments.
Oh, big time. Big.
Yes.
In fact, Canada, the Canadians were the test bed for all the GM food for 10 years without our knowledge.
It was, and now you're getting sprayed up there.
Yeah.
Like madness. And now this Codex Alimentarius is coming in, and I just want to warn people that we have a guy named, a woman who from Natural Solutions Foundation, Rima Libo, who just propelled herself from a ufologist, psychologist, and hypnotist to being a natural foods proprietor, and she has no history in this, and her husband is Dr. Stubblebine. The owner of the station didn't even know who Dr. Stubblebine was, and when I mentioned 9/11, he said we had bigger fish to fry. I don't agree with that. I lost 3 people in 9/11, 2 of them which were blown to smithereens from the controlled demolition. Their bone fragments were found 700 feet away, in some cases on rooftops. Now, I'm very pissed off. 9/11 will live forever. So for the owner of the station to call that old news and he has bigger fish to fry makes my blood boil. Now, Rima's Libo and her husband, psy-op specialist, Major Albert Stubblebine, are nothing but psy-op specialists.
I've heard other reports about that too, though.
Yes, and so listen to that.
But, I mean, personally, I mean, that's what I always tell people. I don't think you can meet anyone who's ex-CIA or ex-FBI.
Never champion anyone, Alan, I know. But you know what? I champion. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, because, I mean, I read an article years ago on the radio. It was from a Toronto Star to do with how the CIA even had set up Patriot stations from the 1960s on shortwave radio, and how they funded Christian front groups to fight communism. But to be honest with you, I mean, I do know there's a lot of fakes within it. And
you always make known. You always make known that it started with, it's been there for hundreds of years. They sell gold. Now, is it a coincidence that the 2 Patriot stations among us are owned, their parent companies are gold brokers? Now, GCN and RBN, in my opinion, are nothing but advanced, elaborate data gathering mechanisms. That is the bottom line. And did you say, I just want to end this on a happy note, did you say when the shit hits the fan on Alex?
Pardon? I think he's gone. But, well, everyone has their opinion. And I think within shortwave radio, there's no doubt over the years, and I know who they are, there's been definite infiltrators. Some were obvious. Bo Gritz was obvious. And after 9/11, after being on the shortwave radio for years, Bo Gritz came out on national television in a news interview on the congressional steps, saying, and he blamed it right away on those crazy Patriot types that run around the forest with guns. That was the man who literally was getting the names of all the Patriots out there, Colonel Bo Gritz. And I taped that interview too. So they have had their fakes out there, and why not? Because that's what intelligence is all about. Gritz himself used to say that he left the Pentagon with hip pocket orders. That's what he was talking about. But yeah, you got to use your own discernment, and you have to understand too that whenever truth is getting put out, there's always going to be counterintelligence coming from somewhere else. Counterintelligence generally works very simply. It takes a lot of the facts that you have and you're hearing about and you're reading about. It will shout about those facts. It'll even give you new facts which you've never had a hold of before. And so they become the first to say it. Then they add the ridiculous into it. And you discredit the facts. It's a very simple technique. Discredit the facts by adding fantasy to it. So we'll go now to Eric from Philly. You there, Eric?
Hey, Alan. It's
yes.
Eric from Philadelphia. Wow, I just have so much to say to the last caller, because it seems like he may... it's hard to even put it into words, but I actually wrote some stuff down while he was speaking.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, Rima Labo, I mean, I can't really explain to someone else just simply what I feel inside myself about another person.
Mm-hmm.
But my discernment, or whatever you want to call it, She just look at her and listen to her talk. That's all I can really say. And anyway, and also Alex Jones in GCN. I'm sure you're making an underhanded little swipe at him. I know the gold brokering is basically a coincidence. I know.
No, I wasn't swiping at Alec. I was swiping.
No, not you. Of course, not you, Alan. Not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are, as I say, that there always have been. And what I used to notice is someone would come out with a book. He'd be around every Patriot station within 2 days, which meant there was coordination between all the different stations.
Well,
it was the same kind of character, and they come and go and come and go. But you know something? They've never ever tried to give us solutions to anything, except vote. Just vote for this party or that party.
Well, specifically, I think in the Patriot movement, I've noticed Alex Jones. He's been here for a long time. Anyone who's been around for a while knows Alex Jones has been going for forever, it seems, and he's just incredible. And he really represents something in the movement, or whatever. I know we call it the movement, and sometimes we associate ourselves in a group, which isn't really such a great idea, like you say. Mm-hmm. But in just the exposition of this evil reality that we live in, and I've noticed when I first started listening to him, he was much more, aggressive and everything, and genuinely just aggressive and angry. And now he's turned into a preacher, Alan, if you know. And I say it in a good way, in a compliment.
That's right. See, anger isn't going to get us anywhere. And mind you, there's plenty to be angry about, and that's the first thing we have to contain, is the anger, because there's nothing so horrendous has been done to pretty well every country in the world. I mean, the U.S. has been turned upside down since 9/11. Upside down, and it isn't finished yet. They're not finished with it. And they will have troops on the streets shortly. It's all planned this way. And there's plenty to be furious about. And my God, you just had the bankers plunder every country on the planet and be rewarded for it. And this is the same establishment we want to keep over us.
Yes, well, I mean, those sentiments they hit home. But you were actually speaking before about Joe Biden, or actually it wasn't Joe Biden you're speaking about, but you're speaking about the conflict in Iraq, where they're setting up basically staged factions to war with each other. Well, Joe Biden, the current vice president, was actually, back in the day, maybe around 2004, 2005, he was, or actually, I guess it was 2005, he was the main proponent of dividing Iraq into 3 separate factional territories.
That's right. That was to be the strategy, yeah.
Yes, so I was thinking of that. I was wondering why that's not happening, but...
In fact, he wrote a book about it, yeah.
I was unaware of that. That's no surprise, so... Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, Alan, so I think I said what I want to say. And anyway, well, you can personally check out everything you want. I know you have a good discernment as well. So it just hurts me personally almost when someone would say, especially Will from Philadelphia, he's even in the same city as I am. It's kind of weird, saying these things that are so objectionable to me. But
but everybody has to say what they feel, and or how they see it, and again too, this is so deep. We often change what we think as we go along. But and what he was touching on too, there's a lot of phonies out there that have been set up in the health fields and all the rest of it, because they give us our leaders, They do give us our leaders, and we tend to follow them, and then we follow them over the cliff, because that's where they're heading. He's quite right with the codex thing. See, ultimately, and I've noticed this in the pharmacies here in Canada, there's many medicines that used to be bought over the shelf or on the shelf disappearing already. And from bronchodilators especially, the very things you would need in a flu attack, they've all been taken off the shelves over the last 3 years. Vitamins eventually are going to be by prescription only, including minerals as well. And our food now is so undernourished because you can grow big potatoes by put on the fertilizers, but you're not putting minerals and vitamins back into the soil. So this is being set up for a future scenario. They don't want a healthy population. So I do understand what's really going on here. I do understand it, because why would they suddenly want to make vitamins prescription only?